Now we're going.
All right, we're going to go back a little bit. Tell one good story about each of your siblings. John first. John and a fellow named Bob, I don't know his last name. His father was a Navy lieutenant commander that flew planes for the Navy, and when John was in school, and he met his son that lived in the Dorado Station, which was a very rich area of Philadelphia. Both him and John loved the airplanes, and they got talking and discussing it, and Bob had the resources because he was the only child and come from a very wealthy family. John had the knowledge, and they put together an airplane in the basement. And after they got it built, they decided they had no way to get it out. So they had it disassembled, take it out in the backyard, put it back together again, and I'm sure it flew. And I think eventually they sold it.
What kind of airplane was
you
it?
got to remember, it's similar to a two-seater Piper Cub. Today, it's an entirely different airplane than it is today. It was a canvas painted over a wooden frame, probably balsa wood or something of that nature, light wood, with strengthening places in the different area. I think they had to take the wings off, the tail off, and probably the engine. They put it together out in, I say, the backyard, and that was quite a feat for somebody who was probably in his teens.
That's amazing.
Bill, or William, Sweet Pea, decided one day he was a lot stronger than my dad, or tougher than my dad. He told John he was going to go in and really have it out. He was getting tired of getting the lickings on his hiney. So he challenged them, and they were by the cell door. Bill put up his fist. My dad quickly hit him. Bill went out, down at the cellar door. That's the end of I never knew what had hit him, and I guess he didn't want it to ever happen again. He ended Bill's challenge to his father, and I think fathers expect their son someday to always challenge them, and but they're always ready for him. Now we'll talk about Tom. During the Depression, Tom had the hunting license. He only paid a couple bucks, maybe not even a couple dollars, but he got his license and he went hunting. And they'd bring back rabbits and pheasant if they could shoot them or whatever. And Tom wasn't having a good day that day, and he knew he needed something to subside us for the week. So sure enough, he comes back with somebody's chickens. Had a couple of chickens in the bag, and brought them in, plucked them, and Mom made some chicken Popeye. Joe, there's not much to talk about. Joe was kind of a, well, there was the onions episode where he didn't like onions, and they tried to force him to eat onion, and they broke his tooth, one of his secondary teeth, which he had to get a false tooth later on in life. But one of the stories I tell about Joe is when we lived in Port Kennedy, mean, he fell in the rain barrel. Mom, all the people used to catch the rainwater because the rainwater was supposedly very soft and very good for doing washes. And so they used to catch the water in a big rain barrel big barrel, which is, they call it a rain barrel, come down out of the spout. And Joe one day fell in the fall.
How old was he?
Fell into it and got a lot of water in his lungs and
Dad, how old was he?
brought him out. Huh?
How old was he?
Oh, Joe was about 8, 10 years old, I guess, between 8 and 10. And they got him, pumped him out a little as best they could, but then he developed double pneumonia.
Mm.
Of course, double pneumonia is pneumonia in both lungs. During the middle, or during the period of time he had it, he, of course, was running high fevers. So my mother called the doctor this one day. It was very, very bad. And the doctor came about 8 or 9 o'clock at night and said to her, Mrs. O'Malley, she said, that fever doesn't break. By midnight, you're probably going to lose him. So she started praying, everybody did, I guess. Prior to midnight, beads of sweat appeared on his forehead.
He was okay? Fever broke?
My mother said, that's good. The fever's breaking. And sure enough, it did, and the next day was great.
Right.
Yeah. There's a lot of things you could say about Rich, but I think the most memorable thing I have of him was we used to cut our own hair. Mom used to cut our hair. We had a pair of clippers. So this one day, Rich decided he was going to do his own hair, and he ran the clippers right down the middle of the head. Well, when my mother seen it, sure enough, he had to have baldy. So they cut all, give him his summer haircut in the fall. So much for the brother story, except when they beat up the whole town.
Mm-hmm.
I think that covers pretty much the questions.
What about Aunt Dolores?
Huh?
Anything on Aunt Dolores?
I covered things of the first thing. We'll go back to where we left off. I got this thing stripping down like that.
Right.
Back to how did you and Mom meet? I covered talk about the first date. When do you want to know when you want to marry her? Well, I guess it was between Christmas and Valentine's Day. I guess I decided to go out and get her a heart for pictures. How did you propose? Let your mother tell you about that. There's a couple of proposals. I guess one day we were sitting in the living room and she asked me what my intentions were. And I told her I was intended to marry her. talked about the ring she wanted, and her mother worked down at Jewelers Row, or near Jewelers Row, and I told her what I wanted, and she sent me to a jeweler, and I told him what I thought I wanted, and didn't quite make the grade. Stone was all right, but the setting wasn't. So this one night we were walking to the movies at
69th Street.
69th Street, and we passed this jewelry shop, and in the window was a set of wedding rings and an engagement ring, and your mother said, "That's what I want." She said, "That's just exactly what I wanted." And so we went in and we put some money down, hold them. He told us to take a couple of weeks or a month or so to get them. So we finally went back and got the rings, and took the stone and the rings and got it reset, and was done about her birthday. Was it your birthday?
March the 19th.
Oh, March the it was done March the 19th.
Want to see the rings?
The rings were done.
Show me the ring, Mom. There it is.
And we had the rings were done. They were matching wedding bands and a matching engagement ring. So I had the rings done, fixed up, and I met her down at where she was working at the Curtis Publishing Company one night, and I got down on the knee and put it on her finger. Just what she wanted. Why did you decide to move to King of Prussia? Well, we were talking her mother into selling her house and moved to Havertown, was it? Wasn't it Havertown?
I think so.
Yeah, it was Havertown. We looked at the houses in Havertown. But her mother decided she wanted to be a homeowner. So we decided that we were going to look on our own, because, and then we looked in the area of Prospect Park and some of the other areas down towards Westinghouse where I was working. And we really didn't find exactly what we wanted. So one day we were driving, I guess, up the Valley Forge or in that area, and we used to go out there quite often, or coming from Phoenixville. We liked the King of Prussia area because it was halfway between Upper Darby and King of Prussia, or Phoenixville. So they were putting up new homes there, so we decided to look around. So we looked at some of them along Golf Road, and the one home was nice, but the front door looked into the neighbor's back door, and it was very small lots, and we decided that wasn't for us. Then we went and looked at the homes in Valley Forge Homes development, which was probably the third or fourth development in the area. And we liked the home. It was just one level, but we could get a basement because of our area and where we wanted to have the house, backed up on 202. So we bought one that put money down on the one that had the basement, and it was one level with 2 baths, a dining room or another one bath, 2 bedrooms, a dining room or another bedroom, depending on what you want to do, a living room, a kitchen, and the downstairs was a full basement. Basically, that's how we came to King of Prussia, and I decided I was going to drive to Westinghouse from King of Prussia, which was a good idea because later on you will know that I went to GE, and it was a good move going to King of Prussia at the time. How did you come to work at GE? Well, I was working at Westinghouse for 5 years almost, and but Westinghouse was notorious for going out on long strikes. And sure enough, one day they decided they weren't getting treated fairly and decided to go on strike. So I spent a couple of weeks at home shooting horseshoes and drinking beer and lollygagging around while your mother was working. And I decided to go down and talk to Burroughs, which was right down in Paoli. And after an interview, I was hired. And so I went to work there. And I knew it was just going to be for a short period of time, hopefully, if Westinghouse went back, or I would get another job if they didn't go back. Lo and behold, I found out that GE was coming to King of Prussia through Philadelphia. So they were going to interview in the fall and winter of that year. In fact, it turned out to be December. So I said, that would be nice. I know they're not going to the King of Prussia right away, but eventually they have plans to come out to King of Prussia. So I went and interviewed, and I was the first designer to be interviewed and the first one hired. I was hired the same day I was interviewed. And the guy, Art Morris, was the manager at the times, and he wanted me to go to Schenectady. They were till May, because they were coming down in May in Philadelphia, working the 32nd Street, the old A&P warehouse. I told him I'd prefer not to, because in July we were going to have our first child. So he said, that's all right. He said, you don't have to come up there. He said, we'll put you down at you'll start working in May at the Philadelphia facilities, which I did. How did we find out Mom was pregnant with Mary? Well, we went down to Leo and Lorraine's. Leo got married in the meantime to Lorraine. And we went down, one night they had an apartment in Philadelphia. We went down and had a get together with Leo and Lorraine, and it's getting late, and about, I guess, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, we decided we're going to leave. And Mom gets dizzy. And she kind of stumbled over the chair. And Leo says, what are you, pregnant? I don't think so. Well, we sure enough got tested, and she was pregnant. Went to the doctor.
Wait, Mom, why didn't you think you were pregnant?
We had put in for adoption
Why did you put in for adoption?
Yeah.
because we were going to be married 6 years and we hadn't had any children yet, so we put in for adoption. And we were approved by Catholic Charities.
And after we were approved, when she was pregnant, Mary was. We were sure that she was pregnant. We called the Catholic Charities, and the Catholic Charities says, well, we'll keep you on the list until she's born, because you never know what can happen. So when she was born, we notified them, and we didn't adopt. We had a baby. Oh, that summer, another part of the story. We went down. We had a group from Westinghouse that used to go down they had access to a place down at the what was the name of the place in Sea Isle?
Sierra City, yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know.
Sea Isle City. They had a house, a big big thing. We took our 45 records and all kind of food. I did some cooking, and it was about, I guess, 6 or 8 couples, wasn't it?
Yeah.
At least 6 or 8 couples. One of them was a principal of the high school, and he was the worst. Mike Pedeston was a jazz singer and a saxophone player at that time. It was big, popular. He was from the Philadelphia area near Chester, in that area where these people all were from. So I made spaghetti that night, and we were done eating on put on a table, and the men would cook and the girls would clean up. Well, before we cleaned up, this principal was half bombed. He starts marching around the top of the table, spaghetti and all, imitating Mike Pedeston. It was really a fun show. But we had a great weekend. But while we were there, Mom was making a bed with a pregnant girl. And they said, that's bad because you're probably going to get pregnant making a bed. The old wives' tale, I guess. And sure enough, it happened. Describe the day Mary was born. Oh.
You can describe that better than I.
Huh?
You can describe that better than I can because
well,
I was out of it.
We went to the doctor's early in the week, and the doctor said to Mom, you're getting pretty close to being pregnant. And he said, next week I'm going on vacation. So he said, take a couple doses of castor oil.
And I'll deliver you Friday.
And he said, I'll deliver you before the weekend. Well, she didn't take a couple doses of castor oil, but faith was with us. So I think it was Monday or Tuesday she went to the doctor.
Yes.
And on Thursday, was it Thursday night?
No, it was Wednesday.
What, that Mary was born? Wednesday.
Huh?
Wednesday.
Well, Wednesday night, about midnight, she wakes up and says she's got some pains in it.
No,
Wasn't it?
Tuesday night. I went to the doctor's Tuesday afternoon, not Tuesday night, but Wednesday morning.
Well, it started around midnight or 2 o'clock in the morning, as I remember. Because she said you weren't real bad, but you had pains. So, come about 5 o'clock, she's really got pain. So we called the doctor. Doctor said, bring her in. Dr. Knopf said, bring her in. Just before we were going to make our run to the hospital, I had this 55 Chevy, and the tires were looking a little on the weak side, so I went out and got 4 brand new tires and an excellent spare. At the time, the expressway didn't go all the way down. We were going down to Misericordia, right?
Yeah,
Misericordia Hospital, which was at 45th and
54th and Cedar.
what?
54th and Cedar.
54th and Cedar Avenue was just off the city, one of the West River Drive, or East River,
I don't know.
off one of the drives. So I'm driving down. No sooner get off the expressway to the drive, which was not complete of the expressway, and I get a flat here, thump thump thump. I get a flat tire. Well, you never seen anybody change a tire so fast in all your life. And of course, in the meantime, her water broke, and she's got a towel. She's all wet. And
Like
just
a
as I
movie.
finished up, a police car pulls up behind me. He said, "Do you have a problem?" I said, "Yes." I said, "I just had a flat tire and my wife's pregnant and I'm taking her to the hospital to have a baby." And I said, "I just changed the flat tire and I'm getting ready to go." He says, "Follow me." He said, "Where are you going?" I said, "Misericordia Hospital." He put on the flashing lights, got in front of him, and he drove over in front of Misericordia. Pull up the emergency ward, and of course he waited, I guess, till we got in. I went in and told the girl at the desk. She came out with a wheelchair. We put her in the chair, and they wheeled her in and checked her in and took her upstairs. That was 5:00, 5:30,
7 o'clock.
7:00 in the morning. Mary was delivered at 7:00 that night. I spent the whole day between the drugstore having lunch and the hospital. There's a hot thing on the corner. Bought her a dozen red roses.
Aw.
So it's about that evening. I'm coming up to see her. They said that I could go up to the room. They were getting ready. So she had her baby, and I said, "What was it?" Said, "A little baby girl." I said, "Oh, okay."